Come on.
Press the red button. Press the red button. Let me see. Magic.
She's from Copenhagen.
Well, I have to say, you have to have the magic hand. I don't. So, did you get that? Did you get that? We're in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I want to say again, thank you so much for being here. I want to say thank you very much to Hi-Fi Klubben, who presents the movie. And I want to say thank you so much to Sander, who is on the Dutch team. And we have Antoinette and Stefan, who's over here, who's been helping us really a lot. Because, it's not just putting on an event, it's also to make the people aware that there is an event. And of course, thank you to Susinski. Thank you so much, and I want to present to you the one and only Alan Wilder.
Thanks everyone, thank you. Yeah, I want to echo those thank yous to those people as well, because they've been brilliant. Everybody who's helped with this event, so thanks again. And I've met most of you already in the toilets. It's a great pleasure. I was the toilet usher outside because no one in the cinema seems to be able to direct anyone to a toilet, so I did that job. So it's one way of getting to know you all, isn't it? And I met a few of you just beforehand as well when we tried to do a sound check. You were eagerly awaiting, so I had to throw you out. But we got the sound check done just in time, and I hope it sounded okay. Was it all right? How was it sound? Too loud or? I told them to turn it up, It's music, right? We want to feel it. Anyway, so this is a wonderful theatre. We couldn't quite get into the big room because of James Bond, as usual. He always usurps everything I do. But I quite like the film, so I forgive him. But this is intimate. I like this room too because it just feels really intimate. So I hope you enjoyed the film anyway. Very happy to be able to come to Holland with this. Holland, I have to be honest, has never been my biggest territory. It's always been a little bit of a struggle to sell records here. I don't know why, you Dutch are so slow, but we've managed to get quite a few out tonight, and it's really, I'm being sincere when I say it's great to be able to come here and do this event.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
This is a Q&A, so you can actually ask Alan anything you like.
Right.
So what I'm
Within
going to do,
reason.
you're going to raise your hand, and I'm coming up to you when you have your hand up, and you ask Alan the questions. And I can start off with, we know Alan from many years in his musical career. And for me it was a surprise also to see that there was actually suddenly a concert movie. And Alan, I want to ask you, how did the idea come up with the concert movie?
Yeah. Well, like many things I do, it's sort of evolved from a germ of an idea, really. The whole tour really was never really intended to be 2 years on the road. It was conceived as just a quick presentation to promote the Selected album, and it ended up growing, and we got filmmakers involved, and ended up as this much bigger presentation which I took around the world. And likewise, the film of the film, which you've just watched, came together in a similar way. Just the Hungarians who made it turned up at that show. I didn't know they were even going to be there, and they said to me, look, we've got 7 cameras, can we shoot the film, can we shoot the concert? And no stress, if you don't like it, we don't use it. If you like it, we can try and do something with it. And I thought this was a great idea, nothing to lose. And so that's what happened. And 2 years further down the line, we, a bunch of emails, many emails and conversations. Slightly broken conversations because many of the Hungarians don't speak that much English, so short and sweet emails, and file transfer. And at the end of that process, we ended up with a film. So it's almost a surprise to me that it got made. And from that point onwards, I've just tried to get it to people, get people to see it, get it out there. It's been like a homemade project in a way. No great funding behind it. It's a self-release. I've had to do a lot of the work and put whatever money we've needed into it myself. But most of the people that have worked on it have worked for free and for love and just for the desire of getting it made. And that's very heartwarming to me in this state of the industry, which you're all aware is struggling a bit. You know, the music industry, many artists, I don't need to tell you really how it's been over the last few years with CD sales dropping off and artists struggling more, and record companies don't put money up very much, you know, for anybody these days, unless you're a major artist. So you have to find different ways to do things, and that's really what I've tried to do, get more involved in self-promotion and marketing and bringing people together that support what I do and involving them, you know. And that's how we managed to get this film made. So that's really all I wanted to say about the film. The rest is obvious, you know what it is. So just ask me any questions you've got and I'll try and answer them for you.
Raise your hands.
Who's first? I thought it might be you. Oh, it's you, okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you again, Mr. Wilder. I've seen the show in London last year at the auction. Which was
The auction, yeah, Manchester,
yeah. And how is it for you to perform with Rico, with laptops and innovation, with limited synths in comparison to with Depeche Mode, with a lot of synths and background vocals, drumming?
It's a very different experience for me. And when we first started playing these shows, I felt very self-conscious because I'd set it up, as I explained, more as a presentation of Recoil to kind of demonstrate what it was, rather than a live concert, you know, live band or anything like that. And then I found myself kind of on stage with the laptops and realised that perhaps I should be doing a bit more performance-wise. You know, even though I wanted to sort of accurately represent what Recoil is with the music and the film and everything, and to put on something that was not the norm, you know, not like a band really. It still left me with perhaps not, if I do it again, I'll probably do more, put it that way. But on the other hand, it makes no pretense about what it is. It is a presentation, it's not a band. And so from that point of view, I feel okay about that. And I got used to it. You know, over the course of doing it for a year or two, I relaxed more into it and you know, kind of was able to enjoy it more. As I said, I felt very self-conscious at the beginning. And of course, when you're playing to a more selective audience, shall we say, than the Depeche Mode gigs, then you can see the faces, you know, and that actually can make you feel quite uncomfortable unless they're really smiling, which they don't always do. With Mode, you know, you're kind of miles away, and I'm in a little bubble there on stage, and it becomes a very automated kind of process, you know. That's not to say I don't enjoy the feedback of big audiences and all of that, but it's not the same as playing in a smaller venue and it's a more intimate affair. So a very different experience, I think, the two things. But I enjoyed them both. Yes.
Sorry for being second.
I've heard all your questions before, so he's been talking to me for the last 2 days non-stop. Sander's been helping us out, and he drove us around from the airport, and it's been really helpful actually.
Thank you, it's a pleasure. Big pleasure. Many bands I've seen, guys who leave the band and write a book. I know you've got good writing skills. Did you ever consider that? Writing a book?
Yeah, I have thought about it, and unfortunately, being the control freak that I am, I'd kind of want to do it myself rather than get some writer. Most of these biographies are written in 2 hours. Actually, that's not true. They're not written in 2 hours, but the contribution from the person who's being written about lasts about 2 hours. In other words, they do an interview with some journalist, and the journalist goes off and writes the book. And then he researches a load of quotes from old interviews and magazines and puts it all together. And I don't want to ever make a cobbled together book like that. So if I did do something, I'd want to probably spend 2 years on it like I would making a record, and maybe do a lot of the writing myself and involve other people and just do it properly.
Well, you've got the skills for it.
Well, that's kind of you to say so, and I'd like to think that I do have some sort of eloquence when I write, but it's not necessarily the thing I wanted to make my priority at the moment, you know. It's, I guess, when I'm even older and fed up with making music, if that ever happens. And I'm not fed up with making music yet. So the thing I should prioritise is making new music, and we'll worry about the book later on, shall we?
Here we go. Question over here.
Yeah.
Hi Alan, it's a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
I have a question. Since you mentioned the Depeche Mode, and this question is not from me, it's from my brother.
Where is he?
He was on the phone listening to you.
on the phone. So he wanted to see the gig without paying for a ticket.
If she's
I get
Polish,
it.
you can imagine how it works. Well, anyway, the question is why, and here comes the swear word, don't you produce the Depeche Mode albums?
Well, why would I? I mean, I'm not being funny. Why would I leave a band and then go back and produce the albums? I mean, that's what I did kind of partially when I was in the band. So why would I do that after I left? They would also probably never ask me to do it, even if they thought about it, because I think it's a question of pride and all those things. So, and from my point of view, it wouldn't be a particularly interesting thing to do. I think they need good production. That's a different question, but from my point of view, I'm more interested in part of the reason I left the group was to sort of expand my horizons and work with many different vocalists and other contributors, musicians. And Depeche Mode was a very insular group. They've become a bit less so over the years. I think they're more open-minded than they were. But for many years we would impose too many stupid rules. We can't work with other musicians, we can't use guitars, that was one, because that went out the window quite quickly. But I didn't want to be in a situation where I was kind of restricted in that way. So it didn't feel right to me to be in a kind of democratic music. Creating music for me is not actually a democratic process. And that's not to say that I don't value other people's contributions, and I don't want that, and I don't want to work with other people. I do want that. I want to soak it up like a sponge, other people's performances and contributions. But I want to ultimately, like a film director, be in total control about how that's put together. When you're in a band, you can't really do that. And the other thing about production, whether it's for Depeche Mode or for anybody else, you become embroiled in the personal relationships and all the problems, the inter-reactions between each member and their marital problems and all the other things that you don't want to be thinking about when you're making music. And I just want to concentrate on the music side. So I think that pretty much answers your question.
But you kind of also grew up, you started in the